Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Go to my cheat sheet for today's MLB main slate for today on DraftKings. Anyway, before we continue, if you could leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my new videos, I would really appreciate that. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. And if you want access to any of my extra content, like my entire MLB sheet and my Slack chat, you can hit the link in the description below for my Patreon if you are interested. So anyway, let's dive into this slate. At pitcher, we have 3 options that I am interested in. And I will actually expand that to 4, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So we got Lucas Giolito up top. Then I like Aaron Savali at 6,900. Then Masahiro Tanaka at 8,900. So let's dive into the pitching sheet so you can see why I'm interested in these guys. So Lucas Giolito, I can expect him probably be the highest owned pitcher, especially of the high tier. Tomorrow going against Detroit, he gets that soft matchup. And he's been good this season. He had a stretch of where he was amazing, got a little cold, and then he had a really good game last time out. So, yeah, this season he's got a 30% K rate, next fit below 4. He's not giving up any hard contact whatsoever. He leads the slate in the least amount of hard contact given up. You can't really count Savali because he only has a 1-game sample size that I'm pulling data from. So, yeah, he's been good. He does have a high fly ball rate, which could be a little concerning, but Detroit has 0 power. So I don't mind going with Lucas Giolito. If you look at the Detroit splits versus right-handed pitching, it is not good. As you can see, they have a 26.5% K rate versus righties, the lowest team ISO, lowest team WOBA, and the lowest team WRC+. So this is a fantastic spot for Giolito. I think he's got 30-point upside, and he's my favorite pitcher of the entire slate. And I know if you look at Charlie Morton, I could see him maybe carrying a little bit of ownership because we're in Tampa, but that Blue Jays team has been hitting well recently, so I don't really want to pick on them. I know it's a park downshift for Toronto going in Tampa, but I am willing to fade Charlie Morton and spend the extra $300 for Lucas Giolito, and you're not going to be able to pay for both. So give me Giolito over him. Then Aaron Savali at 6,900. I think he is pretty interesting. Now these stats are only from 1 game versus Detroit, so they obviously look pretty good because Detroit sucks. But if you look at his numbers in the minors, which I will show you here on Fangraphs, he's not been bad. 26% K rate, only a 13% walk rate's a little concerning. That's pretty high. But actually, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong numbers. 26% K rate in AAA, 5% walk rate in AAA, and he only has a 3.47 FIP. So I don't think he's not terrible. He's not some elite prospect, but he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna kill our lineups. And I do like the matchup versus Texas, who is striking out a lot versus righties. If I can pull up their splits now. They are striking out at a 25.6% clip. Now, they do have some power, but they're going from Texas to Cleveland, which I know Cleveland's still a good hitter's park, but it's still a downgrade from hitting in Texas, which is just awesome for hitting. It's a top 3 park for bats. So this is a downgrade for them, and I do think he can have a decent enough game at 6,900 to pay off salary. And then Masahiro Tanaka, I don't have a ton of interest in him. I think he's overpriced, especially for how he's been pitching, and he is in Camden Yards, so it's not a good park for pitching either. So why do I like him? Well, I don't really like him at all. There's just not a lot of good pitchers on this slate whatsoever. And I think he can have a decent game versus Baltimore. Yankees are heavy favorites going to this. Gabriel Yanoa is going to start, and then they're going to bring in the bullpen, and the bullpen sucks. So I think the Yankees just smash here, which hopefully would make Tanaka more comfortable pitching. So he shouldn't have to work too hard for the win. And he's got okay numbers, 4.36 xFIP, 20% K rate, doesn't walk a lot of guys. Isn't giving up a lot of fly balls either. I don't think it's a terrible matchup. I do prefer the lefties versus Baltimore, but I don't think Tanaka's going to kill our lineups. But I will say he's a little overpriced. And then Rick Porcello, he's another guy I almost put on the sheet, but I don't like him. I think he's a really bad pitcher. It's just the matchup versus the Royals, who don't have a lot of power versus righties, but his numbers are really bad. 5.27 xFIP, 18% K rate. The only thing I like about him is he's a really heavy favorite because the Red Sox are like I think they're like negative 240 right now, if I remember correctly. So he should be able to pick up the win. I know he really sucks, but maybe get a cheap win, get 10 points out of him at 6,400. So anyway, let's get into the bats now. That's enough of the pitching. That's my opinion on pitching. So at catcher, I love the Red Sox today, and Christian Vasquez has been very good versus lefties this season. Mike Montgomery is not a very good pitcher, giving up a lot of power to lefties and righties, so I don't mind stacking up the Red Sox at all. Vasquez has been very good versus lefties. Roberto Perez, another guy who's been really good versus lefties. He's 4K. He's having an excellent season. Mike Minor is giving up more power to righties. I will say he's got a decent strikeout rate, but he's regressed. He's not been as good as he was in the beginning of the season. And I like the Indians again. They've been a hot offense, so I'm just going to keep rolling with the Indians. I know I'm an Indians fan, so maybe I'm biased, but hey, the numbers speak for themselves. They've been hitting very well, and Perez is very good versus lefties, and they're at home. The Mike Zunino, 2,600. I still don't know how to say this guy's name. Let's call him Waggy. He's giving up more power to righties. I still like the lefties versus him, but it looks like the righties are like the main targets here. So Mike Zunino, he actually has more power to righties this season, if I'm correct, but he strikes out a lot. But he doesn't Waggy. He doesn't have a lot of a strikeout upside. So don't mind going with Zunino there at 2,600. I do like the Rays stack, and he's a really cheap part of that. And then at first base, we got Jose Abreu at 3,700. I was really surprised when I saw this price tag. I was looking down. I sort by salary when I first starting, and scrolling down, I was not expecting to see his name pop up there. And he's just too good to be this low priced, especially versus Detroit and their terrible bullpen, and especially versus Drew Verhagen. Now, he's got a decent strikeout rate versus righties, but this is not a big sample size, and he's giving up a ton of power to righties. So I do think this is a pretty decent matchup for Abreu. He's actually had more power versus righties this season. So at that price tag, I can see him being pretty popular, and I don't mind using him at all. So I like that. Then G-Man Choi at 3,900. I know he said this pitcher's better versus lefties, and he is, but I think the Rays are just better hitters overall than what the pitcher is. So give me G-Man Choi tomorrow. He might be leading off. I'm not sure. But no matter where he is in the order, I like him. Unless he's like in 7th, 8th, or 9th, but I don't think that's going to happen. And then second base, Eric Sogard at 4,500. He just another Rays I like here. I know I said I like the righties better versus him, but the Rays team is better than he is a pitcher. The bullpen's bad as well, so I do like the Rays stack quite a bit. And he just had a monster game. Was it yesterday? I think he had 45 or 35 points. So I like Sogard. Adam Frazier at 3,600. Jordan Lyles facing his old team. I like the lefties versus Jordan Lyles. He hasn't been the best pitcher in the world versus either side of the plate, but I do prefer the lefties versus him. And then Scooter Gennett at 2,600. He is basically free, as all of the Giants are pretty much tomorrow. So, and Eric Fedde is not a good pitcher, so it must just be because they're in San Francisco. But I would understand if he was priced in the low 3K range, but I don't understand him being 2,600. That's really low. So if you really need a punt play, I don't mind Scooter Gennett versus Fedde. He's a low strikeout pitcher, just not very good overall, and that Washington bullpen isn't any good either. Then at third base, we got DJ LeMahieu at 5,600. He's really priced up, but like I said, I love the Yankees. He's going to be leading off, and it sucks, and so does the Orioles bullpen. So give me all the Yankees I can handle tomorrow. They're pretty much the top stack of the entire slate. Then we have Eugenio Suarez at 4,400 versus Patrick Sandoval. I don't know much about this guy. I was looking at his Fangraphs numbers in the minors. It didn't look too impressive. And Suarez has always been really good versus lefties. We're back in Great American Ballpark, so I do like Suarez as a one-off there. And then Jake Lamb at 4,200. Vince Velasquez is going to have a ton of power to lefties and righties. He's got a good strikeout rate, but the problem is that comes with a lot of home runs. Jake Lamb has been pretty good versus righties, so I don't mind going with Jake Lamb here. Then at shortstop, we have Xander Bogaerts, 5,300. Yankees and Red Sox lead this slate in terms of stacks for me. So obviously, I like Xander Bogaerts versus the lefty. He's been smashing lefties this season. Mike Montgomery's not a very good pitcher, and neither is that Royals bullpen, so I think the Red Sox can smash here. Then Didi Gregorius, 5K, lefty versus, he's actually been worse versus lefties. I just don't think he's going to be in the game very long, but the bullpen, like I keep saying, it sounds like a broken record, but bullpen's bad, Noah's bad, Yankees are good. It's just simple science here. So give me Didi Gregorius. And Brandon Crawford, like I said, these Giants are basically free. So if you need punt plays, there's punt plays tomorrow. So spending up for certain guys should not be a problem because Crawford's basically free. Now, he does have a jammed shoulder, but he did play the past couple games, and he got the day off, was it yesterday? I honestly don't know if he played today because he was not on the main slate, so I really didn't pay any attention to him. But he's free versus a righty, so I don't mind going with there. He should be batting like 5th. And then in the high-end outfield, we have J.D. Martinez, 5,100 versus a lefty. I think this is probably the number one home run spot of the day. Going up against the lefties. Him and Altuve have been the best hitters in baseball versus lefties this season, but J.D.'s got massive power. ISO almost about 500 versus lefties. So do like J.D., and he's my favorite play of the entire slate. And then Mookie Betts at 5,500. He's really expensive, and I have to pick between the two. I'm obviously going to go JD, but if you're going to be fully stacking the Red Sox, I would try to get him on your lineup. Then Corey Dickerson at 4,800. I believe he homered today, and he's just really good versus righties. Kelly's not a very good pitcher, so I don't mind going with Corey Dickerson. at 4,800. And then in the mid-range, we have Aaron Judge at 4,600. I have him as a core play. Again, he is very cheap, and I just don't see how the Yankees don't smash here. And Camden Yards, bad pitcher, bad bullpen. It just all makes a lot of sense for me. And then Austin Meadows at 4,700. I said I like the righties better, and I do, but I don't mind the full stack here, and I do think Austin Meadows should still have a good game. I mean, he's a better hitter than Wagwas Pack is a pitcher, so give me Austin Meadows and all the Rays I can handle tomorrow as a cheaper stack. And Tommy Pham at 4,300. I probably like him actually better than Meadows just because of how bad the pitcher has been versus righties, but both are fine plays, but Pham comes in at a cheaper price tag, and he will steal some bases as well. And then in the value outfield, we have Jock Peterson at 4K. I know he's been burning a lot of people lately because he hasn't really done much, but he's really getting low in price at 4K. Walker's not a very good pitcher. He's actually been worse versus righties, but it doesn't mean he's been great versus lefties either. So I don't mind taking Jock Peterson leading off at that price tag for the Dodgers. You got David Peralta at 4,200, just a lefty versus Vince Velasquez. He's got a lower strikeout rate to lefties, and he gives up a lot of power to lefties. So like David Peralta. And then Eloy Jimenez at 3,400. He's really cheap. Righty versus Drew Verhagen, who's giving up a lot of power to righties, and it's a bad bullpen as well. So anyway, let's get into the core plays and top stacks. I guess I don't really have to scroll; it's right there. So anyway, at pitcher we have Lucas Giolito. He's my clear spend up option. I would really look to get him in all your lineups. And then JD Martinez at 5,100 versus the lefty, and then Judge versus the Orioles pitching, which is just awful. Then the top stacks for me are going to be the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Rays, the Giants for value. I think their entire lineup's a pretty good value. So I don't mind if you want to go with them if you want to save salary. If you want to spend up for like Lucas Giolito and Charlie Morton, you could probably do it with a Giants stack. And versus Fetty, I think it's viable. Not something I say I really want to do, but I do think it's an option. I know if you stacked Walker Buehler and what's his name? Aaron Nola the one night, you got like 70, 80 points out of that. And if you had a cheap like Tiger stack, I think that was a pretty good way to go. So maybe an idea there. I'm not in love with the Giants offense, but they're just so cheap. Then that Phillies D-backs game I think could pop off. Two very not good pitchers facing off and some decent offenses there. And then the White Sox, I don't mind either, going against Verhagen in that Detroit bullpen. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for the video. And just remember, I recorded this at 7:30 p.m., so if anything changes, I apologize. But I am going to Cedar Point tomorrow, so I wanted to get this out early. I needed to get up early in the morning, so I didn't want to be up too late making this video. So anyway, that's all I have for the video. Remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate that. Hit that notification bell. I don't want you guys to miss out on any new videos. NFL is coming up soon. Very excited to be putting out videos for that. So if you had questions if I was going to be covering NFL, I am. So anyway, I wish you guys the best of luck tomorrow and have a good start to the week.